Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. We're heading back, way back, over 2,000 years to ancient Tamilakam. Imagine a time and place where early Tamil poets didn't just observe nature, they actually used its sweeping landscapes, and especially its birds, as the literal vocabulary for human emotion. If you've ever felt a profound connection to the natural world, you are going to be absolutely fascinated by how these ancient writers codified that feeling into a precise poetic science.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're covering 1. The 5 ancient landscapes. 2. Nature's poetic grammar. 3. Birds as love messengers. And finally, 4. The language of symbols. These 4 concepts reveal how the physical world perfectly mirrored the psychological world of early Tamils.
Section 1. The 5 ancient landscapes. To truly get how these magnificent messenger birds operated, we first need to understand the geography they inhabit, which is a concept absolutely central to Sangam literature.
Now, Sangam literature is broadly divided into a few categories. You've got Param, which is the outer world of war and politics. But what we're obsessed with today is Akam. Akam is the poetry of the inner world. It's deeply intimate, dealing exclusively with romantic love, separation, and intense emotional yearning. And the really crazy rule about Akam: the poets never actually named the lovers. The emotions were meant to be completely universal.
This Sangam poetry is strictly structured around a concept called thinai. Basically, thinai means the specific ecological landscape surrounding the characters totally dictates the emotional tone of their relationship. You couldn't just drop a happy couple into any random backdrop. The ecology absolutely had to match the mood. Looking at this animated map of the 5 distinct regions, you can really see this in action. Up in the Kurinji Mountains, you've got cuckoos and hillbirds echoing the thrill of midnight unions. Then there's Mulai, the forests with gentle woodland birds, representing a patient, quiet waiting. Down in Maritham, the fertile farmlands where cranes and waterbirds hang out, that's the stage for lovers' quarrels and infidelity. Nithal is the seashore, where seagulls and herons cry out with the grief of pining. And finally, Palai, the arid wastelands, where birds of hardship symbolize profound, heartbreaking separation.
Moving on to Section 2, Nature's Poetic Grammar. Let's see how this beautiful geography actually builds into a highly sophisticated 2,000-year-old literary matrix.
You see, every poem operated on a genius 3-part grammar, laid out in ancient texts like the Tolkappiyam. First up is Mutal, that's the physical setting, the time and space. Then you have Uri, which is the core emotional theme. And the glue holding it all together is Karu, the native elements of that specific landscape. The local flowers, the trees, and, crucially for us, the native birds.
To give you an idea of how tightly woven the emotion and the landscape were, just listen to this famous verse from the Kuruntakai. Bigger than earth, certainly, higher than the sky, more unfathomable than the waters is this love for this man. I mean, wow. The heroine's boundless love isn't just some abstract thought. It's literally mapped to the massive physical scale of the earth, sky, and water of her mountain home.
Okay, Section 3, Birds as Love Messengers. This brings us right to the heart of our explainer, how specific birds within these habitats acted as active emotional messengers, bridging the gap between lovers.
In Sangam poetry, birds were never just pretty background scenery to fill up space. They were vital characters. As you can see, the Narai, or crane, represented empathy and deep sorrow. The kili, the parrot, voiced intense longing up in the Kurinji Mountains. The anam, or swan, stood for purity and truth. The kuil, the cuckoo, sang of springtime yearning, while the mile, the peacock, offered a comfortable, majestic presence. They were trusted companions carrying silent, desperate messages.
And these birds played incredibly diverse roles. In the Akam tradition, a heroine standing in a mountain millet field might desperately beg a parrot to fly off and fetch her delayed lover. But this idea actually bled into real life too. There's this heartbreaking story of the poet Sathimothina Pulavara. He was suffering in terrible poverty, and he famously addressed a red-legged crane, asking it to fly home to comfort his starving wife. The bird literally acts as a bridge between isolated hearts.
The fact that poets casually conversed with things like birds, clouds, and bees brings us to this beautiful concept of ahranai, the non-human elements of nature. Ancient Tamils absolutely didn't view humans as separate from or superior to the natural world. They treated ahranai with profound empathy and incredible conversational intimacy. It really highlights the spectacular ecological awareness embedded in that society.
All right, Section 4, the language of symbols. We are now ready to decode the secret codes hidden within these natural descriptions and see how birds became psychological mirrors.
Sangam poets almost never stated feelings directly. Instead, they mastered this amazing technique called ulurai. It's an implied metaphor where a seemingly simple, completely factual description of nature is secretly mirroring a complex and often scandalous human drama.
Check out this beautifully animated calligraphy of Corinthicai verse 8, set in the Marutham farmland landscape. In his town, the walleye fish in the pond snatches the sweet, ripe mango as it falls from the tree on the field's edge. On the surface, just a vivid, everyday observation of nature, right? A fish catches a falling fruit.
But wait, remember Uluru? The hidden meaning here is completely wild. The sweet mango falling from the tree actually represents the hero straying from his devoted wife and leaving home. And the walleye fish in the pond, eagerly snatching it up, that represents the village courtesan taking him in. The poet manages to tell an entire story of infidelity without mentioning a single human action. It's just brilliant.
Beyond direct metaphors, they also use something called irachi. So if Uluru is a direct parallel, irachi is more like a suggestive backdrop. It creates this tense, emotional tone, honestly kind of like an ominous soundtrack in a modern cinematic documentary. It uses the landscape itself to give you a real feeling of foreboding.
Take a look at Corinthicai 18. Who knows this? On the mountain slope, a huge ripe jackfruit hangs dangerously from a very small branch. Her life is so small, but her love is so great. That heavy jackfruit hanging perilously on a tiny weak branch isn't just a fun botanical observation, it's a heartbreaking psychological parallel.
The irachi here is incredibly tense. It suggests the heroine's fragile heart. That tiny branch can barely support the massive weight of her secret, unexpressed love, which is the giant jackfruit. And the danger of that fruit falling? It perfectly mirrors her vulnerability. The terrifying reality that her family might suddenly force her to marry a stranger before her true lover ever returns.
As we take in these breathtaking aerial sunrise shots of Tamalakam, think about how this incredible poetic legacy went on to shape Bhakti poetry, modern Tamil literature, and even the Tamil cinema songs we hear today. In Sangam poetry, birds were more than creatures of the sky. They carried silent messages, witnessed secret emotions, and transformed nature into the language of love.
Through their wings, the hearts of ancient lovers spoke across distance, time, and eternity. So I want to leave you with this. If a bird, or a falling leaf, or a fish catching a mango could communicate the absolute deepest of human longings over 2,000 years ago, in our fast-paced, modern world, what vital messages from nature are we completely missing today? Thank you for joining me on this explainer, and keep looking closely at the world around you.